All right. First off, I'd like to thank you for doing this conversation tonight. How you doing tonight, Sin?
I'm doing amazing. How are you, Matt?
Man, I'm doing great, man. Happy early New Year. I know a lot of great things coming your way for the year we'll get into, but excited for the new year and all the great things we got coming.
Same to you and your family, and I'm super excited for season 3. Like
Yeah.
we're on it.
Man, it's amazing because I've been thinking about like where we came from when first conversations we had about doing this, and we mentioned some names that were like, "Yo, we just hope they would want to be on the show with us." And I can say we checked all the boxes in season 2, and now it's like, what could be next? Because some of those names, like we talk about Wendy Days and the TJs, I'd never, because I know TJ, he don't do interviews. So kudos to you for an amazing job of bringing these dope people through.
No, I appreciate it, but it's crazy because TJ only did that interview because of you.
Yeah.
So I mean, and people don't see behind the scenes when, I'm talking with people and getting these booked, but like even with TJ, and I have 10 years I've known TJ, but the only reason why he did it was because you've always been dope. And I believe that's almost an identical quote to what he said. Yeah. So, I mean, people can hear from me, but like the seal of the deal is really the way that you interview, the way that you handle the guests, the support that you show after the guests.
Yeah.
And then, just your constant support, and they see that. And I get the comments all the time, and, I'm texting you after the interviews and people are like, yo, that was great. And thank you so much. And, so it's definitely hand in hand. But I want to make sure that people understand, like, yeah, I know a lot of these people, but they don't always say yes because it's me.
Yeah. It's a team effort. I would say it's a team effort, but I would never ask the questions. Like when you brought M80 to start this, me and M80 are really cool, but I would never even think I could ask him because I'm humble about that stuff. So I love it because you're pushing the needle a little bit. And the season 2, when we went through the recap, man, those names, amazing names. Some of the people that people may not know the big name behind, knew the name, but if you looked at the story and who they are, I mean, some of the biggest people, they're in the culture. So, right. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, I think for me, it's, the diversity of our guests, I think is always super important. Yep. The fact that we're not trying to get clickbait, that's always been important since day one for you and I in our careers, not just this. And that's why I think you and I work out so well together, and Jay, and why the Hype magazine is so important too. Because Stop You From Radio and the Hype magazine both have never used clickbait in order to gather fans. So it's the perfect, housing for this and place to present us. And, the names, it's crazy because, like, I think for me, one of the ones I was really nervous to reach out to, but like I had no idea who, like I knew who he was, but I had no idea if he was going to respond, was like DJ 5 Venoms.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like I was like, it was on my bucket list. I was like, I need to get the official DJ for Rolling Loud. Like I've listened to the music that he's put out. I've watched him for years at Rolling Loud, and he's just always such a humble and cool guy. But I'm like, he doesn't know me from a can of paint. So like, I'm going through my Rolodex, like, do I know anybody that knows him? And then I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to shoot my shot. And I did. Yeah. And it was, I was just, that's one of the ones for me. I was like, I was really nervous about that one because I'm sure he gets asked a million times. Like,
yeah. Well, and that's what I love about it is after the interview, like you said, it's not just you come on and we do an interview and we move on. I look at that as now we're really fam. So I'm watching for what you're doing and stuff. And they did the Rolling Loud set, and he brought the first Christian rappers to Rolling Loud, and it was his presentation. So I was able to help promote it and share it because you hooked up that interview. And that's what I'm loving is I get to see how connected all these people really are. Like there's been a lot of moments I've just been chilling with my family and something come on the TV and it's one of our past guests or somebody behind the scenes that's with those people. So I really love that. And like I said, I love, like you said, we don't want the clickbait stuff. I don't want the gotcha questions. I can click up any piece of an interview we have. Like I'm really good at this content stuff, but I'm never going to click something that's going to get somebody in trouble or cause them any kind of situations. That's why I still try and send questions in advance or make sure they understand what to expect with us, because it's a lot of gotcha stuff right now, but I don't want it. Like, I want to go viral for that. I know how to go viral other ways. That if you give good content and you we've never put ads out yet. So let's put it that way. All the stuff you see from us is still just off the grind. But if we ever decide to put some Google ads or put some Facebook ads on some of these interviews we got, we could easily go viral quickly. So I love that about us, is we're not a gotcha place. I don't want to get you in trouble. I just want to know how you became who you are, because there's somebody like me in Indianapolis that wants to know what they need to do next. And I think that's kind of what we're providing, is we're letting them behind the curtain of Oz. Like, how did TJ become TJ? Like, how did DJ Nasty become, like, we're letting them know the secrets to what helped them get that way. And that's what I love about our guests too, is they all are open to the conversation. Nobody's ever big time this or anything.
No, but I think also the fact that you don't, even if, like, let's say that person's been in the news for something over their career, or they're currently going through something, or they're attached to someone going through something, we don't even talk about it. We don't even, you and I, go through the dossier, and we've gone through questions back and forth, and, some people I work with. So, like, I've been able to structure kind of the conversations, and you've been very willing to do that. And, but you don't, and they feel very comfortable, and they watch the interviews. They're like, oh, like, they really don't ask the questions that, like, every other outlet asks, because it's not relevant to this conversation.
Yeah.
If you're having drama with, your label, like, that's not where the conversation we want to have. We want to know how you got with your label, or how you got to where you are. And that, to me, is the integrity of the show.
And we've also understand that they don't know who we know. So, for instance, I remember we had a chance to interview Mano, and we were having the conversation with Mano. He didn't know I knew Mr. Parker. He didn't know that we were just pushing the same song that he was on. So if we would have tried to do any gotcha stuff with any kind of DJ history or any of that stuff, then how can I lead into, Mr. Parker, right? That's our fan. Like, we can't get you on gotcha stuff because we know those people. We can't say something bad about you, because you'll get a phone call from your people being like, what y'all on? So we have to keep it really respectful, I think, on all we talk about.
And that timing with Mano, like, when you set up that interview, we had no idea that Mr. Peter Parker was going to be with Mano the night that you set the interview up.
Same night.
Shoot the music video, because he was at his release party. Then they were shooting the music video the next night, and Parker had just flown into New York. Yeah. So when Mano's in his car, Parker's outside the car, and, like,
our interview ended with him walking into Parker. Like, I heard Parker yelling, "What up?" That's what's really dope to me, is these people they're starting to tune in as, like, our fam too. Like, every Monday, no matter who we have on, we're getting legends tuning in to see, well, what are you guys doing next? Like, you had me on the show, so I know I'm big. So who's next, and what are you doing? So I think we're building a cult following a little bit of the industry elites that pay attention.
Absolutely. And I think that, we're having some really great come-ups before they break. Yep. That's the other thing, I think when it comes to, like, Hendrix Smoke. Yeah. I think that Hendrix, is already multi-platinum and all this stuff. But, like, he hasn't done a ton of interviews, and people aren't super familiar with who he is. But that came from us doing Rush D the year before.
Yep. Facts. Laying the groundwork.
So it laid that, but before he was, like, super, because he's about to explode. Yeah. So, like, and that's what I love too, is, like, we're getting people too right before, in some cases we can kind of see it. So we get them on before, like, the artists that we're going to start the year with. Yeah. That you just finished that interview. That kid's at over 10 million views on TikTok. That kid's number 8 on Shazam. And we're getting him, he's not signed yet. And that's because we interviewed his manager, Carolina Plug.
And I think, too, the other part is because we're not saying artists have to be at a certain thing. So when we did Hendrix Smoke, I love it because I'm at home chilling with my fam watching Netflix, and then Eminem's on this new show. So I tune in, and first is DJ Holiday. I'm like, oh, shit, that's my fam. What up, Holiday? And then we see Rush D is in the corner. I'm like, oh, that's Rush D right there. Like, oh, that's Hendrix. So, like, I can literally say, these people that are making these big moves in the entertainment industry, they've been on our show, and they're basically fam or friends of ours. So that's what's really dope to me, because I didn't know who Hendrix Smoke was. You knew who he was, and that's all I need to know. Like, but I know, especially with what we put behind it with Stop Beefing Radio, Hype Magazine, Fleet, DJs, and all the stuff you do. You come on our show, we make you a star immediately, because the people that pay attention to us now watch you. And I've had a few DJs tell me I never heard of that dude until I saw your interview with him. And now I've got him on rotation, and now he's going over these opportunities, and there was no conversation about it. They just like me. They seen them. It was like, oh, well, if you mess with Matt, you mess with Sin, we'll give you a chance. So I think we're creating opportunities for a lot of people in that regard.
Yeah, I think for me, the full circle moment, like there were some people that we put on there that for over a decade, I've thoroughly enjoyed as just human beings.
Yeah.
From Terrence Tyson. I mean, like I couldn't wait for us to be at a point where I could reach out. And Terrence would have done it first season. Like, don't get it twisted.
Yeah, facts.
We had huge names first season, but like Terrence is one of those people, like, I remember him shooting for Ozone, and I remember him always showing me love and like shooting Rocket and like shooting everybody else. And like, I just couldn't wait to get him on the show.
Yeah.
Because like his history and like people don't really know anymore. This generation doesn't know who he is, but he's a phenomenal photographer. Or like Amanda Ellie, having her on right after she did her TEDx talk.
Yeah.
Like
amazing.
that was crazy. But her husband is one of my mentors.
Yeah.
And so Rikers, who is a pillar and was one of the, I would consider him a founding father of this game, like of the clothing part of the industry, as well as, you know, one of the first magazine, the first magazine that ever had J. Cole on the cover.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So like his history in this is something that I know, but he's not very vocal about it. And then I remember like this year, DJ Vlad was talking about, I think it was this year or last year. I think it was this year, on Drink Champs, talking a story about Diddy Diddy wanted his bomber jacket. And he mentions Rikers was the one that gave it to him.
Yeah.
And they mentioned it again on, I think on Matt Hoffa's show. So it's like, and I'm giggling but then like to be able to extend the invitation to his wife, who's a phenomenal poet.
Yeah. Got to talk about Encanto, or no, what was it? In how do you say it?
It was like Chocolate Day.
Chocolate, yeah.
Yeah. So, but super excited to have a poet on, like, and the diversity with Chef Pour, like I think she was doing Amazon like the week after we interviewed her. I'm like, what?
Yeah, amazing.
But I had known her because of somebody that I'm familiar with that we had on the show knows her. And so I was able to get her, and I was like, wow, like, and she's again not on she's on the right radars, but she's not on the public radar.
Right.
Yeah. So
well, I know that's happened a lot of times that you brought on a guest and their powerful, their celebrity friend or legendary person saw what they were on and said, well, hey, how can I be a part of that too? Like they I know that's happened a few times. Can we highlight a few?
So I think that everybody's I think everybody for me has really been ones that have conversated with me about the show and personally invited them. But I know like I really wanted to get New Face, but I didn't have a relationship with New Face. Yep. And I kept seeing him do more and more interviews, and he was on like every day. Like I would see more and more in my Explorer page and stuff about him. Yeah. And then I found out that Reality, who we had on,
Salute Reality,
was close with him. So I called Reality, and I know Reality and I know Reality because he's real close with LT Mo. Yeah. And with then this year we also did Chase. And so Chase International is really close with LT Mo. So that was something great too to see. But yeah, I just think everybody kind of was like putting me in directions, and it still was like, we still were like personally inviting everybody, but it was like from like Sam Basquiat from Sorry I Was Trapping to from him, I got to meet at the NFL draft. I got to meet Cash the Barber.
Yeah. Salute.
Who was the Detroit Lions barber.
Yeah.
So and he also has a podcast, and he has all these other things. So I was able to get him on the show, but that was because of Sam. Yeah. So yeah, it's been a great kind of link chain to kind of go through and to see this and to see people. It's like their whole team eventually gets on the show. And I think, what was one of your full circle moments this year? Did you have any?
So I would definitely say for me, I was about to say for me, full circle moment has to be Rocket, because he was the first person I ever interviewed. And when we first started interacting, you knew him and I knew him, and neither of us knew each other. We knew the way we did. So it was very cool to see, you know, I know me and you said that was one of our main goals. Like maybe if we do this right, he'll be on the show someday. And then he's on the show. And he's telling everybody who's watching the show that I am who I am. He endorsed me. Like, that's what's been really cool is when we're bringing legends on here, a lot of times after I talk to them for a few minutes, they know who we are at Stop Beefing Radio. They catch on to what we're doing. So it kind of solidified. But yeah, Rocket was definitely a full surface moment because like I said, I met him in LA. He was my first interview I ever got myself. So, and he said, yo, let's do this again. That's the biggest compliment I can get is someone can get any interview he wants. He says, yo, I want to do it again with you, Matt. Like, I love what you do. So I think Rocket is one. And of course, TJ, because like you said, TJ, I go back a long time. And, for him to say yes, that shows that I'm doing the right stuff. And he's respecting me, which, that's an amazing accomplishment.
Right. And neither one of them do interviews.
Nope.
Rocket, I think in the last 10 years, the only interview he did was with Chuck Creekmere from allhiphop.com and DJ Thorough. That was it. Like it's like Rick Edwards, like that Rick Edwards we had the year before last year. We had scheduled that like 3 or 4 times. Like Rick is just not a public person at all. He happens to be Rocket's manager for years.
Yeah.
But I think too, like Rocket trusts us and Rocket knows us. Not just anybody can get Rocket. And I knew too that the way that we had developed the show, it was something that he would be proud of because he's the same way that we are and he has integrity. Again, this make your own way. I'm wearing his clothing brand tonight. I had to wear it on the show, but
well, and he was there for Blue Visions too. Like he tuned in on Blue Visions interview, and that was I could have clicked it, clickbaited it, but I wanted to focus on Blue. But he showed up and seen what it was like, and then when he realized it was me, he's like, okay, yeah, it's he felt like I said, it feels safe when you're around people that really love you and care about you and wouldn't do anything to harm you or anything like that.
Yeah, no, and that Blue Visions interview, that's still I think the most iconic interview we did. Because not only was Rocket there, but then they turned the camera, and then Eric Kofi Abriva is there from Supercell and from Book of Clarence. And I was like, "What?" I'm watching the interview, like, "What?" Like, because you never know who, and especially with him, like you just never know. So,
well, I definitely know one of my request interviews this season. I want to go for Skilla Baby. Like, I love what he's doing out here. He's got a major following in Indianapolis. He was just on Bag Fuel with Esso and them. So that's one person I would love to highlight. But we spoke about doing interviews with people that don't do interviews. We got Bink. Like, let's just be honest. He don't do interviews with nobody. So for me, you talk about full circle moment. Like Bink is one of the best producers in the game ever. So getting to have that conversation with him. And when you do that for people like him, now when I'm pitching it to Dame or when I'm pitching it to other people he respects, they're easier to listen to us now. They know, oh, well, you got Bink and you ain't on no BS. I can send you the video of it. And now, so I'm excited for season 3 for our fans because the door has been opened. We're in here. They know us a little bit now, not just because the Hype magazine, but the SBR Talk Series has a place now. So I'm excited for when the publicists are hitting you like, hey, we just dropped this new album. We need on there now. Like that's where I'm seeing this next season is going to be is more exclusivity or more, bigger moments with people that, we got New Face. New Face is one of the biggest names we had for like star power. With social media star power and what he does. So for us to get him, the whole Atlanta's at our disposal now. So that's what's exciting is I can pretty much say if we wanted to, we can go get Doshi. If we wanted to, we can go get any of these people because we provide a dope platform for them. And all we do is uplift everything they're doing.
Yeah. And I think from day one, you and I both knew that we could get whoever we wanted to.
Yep.
And I think that like getting Bink, and I think we did Bink, last year?
Yep.
I think we did Bink last year. And the fact that like Bink hadn't done an interview, I think in like 6 or 7 years. And then since then, I think he's done like Beehive. He's done a couple other ones and he's more, but that Bink interview, what was crazy to me is that his internet kept glitching.
Yeah.
And then he kept getting on and you and I are we've never had that problem in 3 years, like never had that issue.
Yeah.
And but he kept getting on. It was like the interview kept flowing and it was great. And I think LT Mo for that, because he's the one that connected me to Bink.
Yep.
And again, it's all those connections. And with Miss Megan, I'm really hoping, to be able to reach out to some of the guys from TSF I'd love to do Sauce Walker.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, you know, calling her this year and, you know, really putting that bug in the ear. I think too, like, one of the things you and I talked about too, is possibly getting like multiple people on here to have conversations.
Yeah.
And, you know,
like let's have Rushdie and Hendrix Smoke on at the same time to talk about whatever's going. Maybe it's no longer interviews, but hey, what are you doing right now? Let's get into the nitty gritty of that moment. What's the play? What's the get behind the scenes of, you know, what it takes to put on a show, what it takes to put on these major events. And I love that idea. Like we can do a lot of people in these StreamYards, so it's not limited.
I think it'd be great. And, you know, I got super excited too, because like after we did Score Diesel, around the time we did Score Diesel, he started his like producers camps.
Yeah.
And now they've been sold out and he's done them all over the country. And then we had like the most I think the one I got the most comments on that was like the most random for us was Danelle Tipton.
Yeah.
Like,
amazing.
Like I don't think people saw that coming from a mile away. No. So, but I've become very passionate this year, and to find out about the history of Black Cowboys and to know there's only 6 professional world champions ever in professional rodeo. And, you know, for the coming up at the February 1st in Oklahoma at the Cowboy Hall of Fame will be the National Black Cowboys Rodeo Awards and Gala, which he's one of the founders of. And so that to me was really exciting, because it was like that curveball, because you like everybody somehow is connected to music or hip hop or something somehow. And then we just threw in that curveball. So that's another thing I want to do this year is like throw more curveballs in there and people be like, wait, what? I think him and Amanda were the biggest, but even Amanda, like the whole thing with her is like, she still does poetry. So it still is like lyrics and it's still lyrical and it's still, you know, and she's married to a legend in his own right. So it's like, you know, but I love
the Danelle, because how many people can say they spoke to somebody on the Wheaties box before? Like, I mean, there's a lot of interviews going on in these podcast worlds, but not too many people are talking the world champion, you know, Wheaties box, got his own clothing line with Wrangler. Like the accolades he has was, you know, top notch. The other person I want to definitely highlight, because of course, SBR Talk Series is powered by the Hype magazine. So I got to thank Jerry for being on the show, because Jerry has been one of our biggest supporters since day one. Like we came into being a part of what we were doing out of nowhere. And, you know, he was very receptive of it. And he kept telling me along the way, giving me great feedback. So when we got him to do an interview with me or with us, I knew, hey, you know, we're doing something right. And then in the interview, he spent a lot of his time bigging you up and bigging the show up and what we've created. So it just shows for us to add value to the Hype magazine. That's the biggest reward I think I can say I've had, is just being added to this great team and then adding more value or creating more opportunities. Because what we're doing is opening new opportunities for the whole Hype magazine. I know calls are being made now because they were on our show. So kudos to you, Sin, for, you know, helping with this. But yeah, it was amazing to have Jerry a part of the last episode to give him his flowers.
Yeah, and I really wanted to, you know, wrap up with another executive from Hype this year. And I think it's imperative for us. I think maybe this year we'll try to get Jay and Jerry on together.
Yeah.
You know,
or Deja.
Yeah. And
Deja
so I want to put her on as an artist.
Yeah.
I really want her to have her on as an artist. But, you know, I really think that making sure it's weird too when I watch the interviews, because you and I are so behind the scenes. So like you doing the interviews, I know has been like, you've really found your pace now. Like but I know you also hate this. And so, but it's weird. Like when I hear Rocket or like Jerry or somebody say my name, or like I forget what interview was like, Sincere's going to hate this. And I'm like, then don't do it. Don't say it. Like, because I don't like now being in the public space. And so I appreciate it. I love you all. And I know you answer my calls, so I'm not worried about it. Like, but it still makes me blush. And I have this, I'm not worthy. Like I'm still working every day and grinding. So it's like, I'm so not worthy of these people that I look up to and I go to for advice and, you know, and the shout outs. And, you know, I think for me, I was excited for us to get to Miami and get DJ Nasty 305.
Yes, amazing. We got a lot of legendary DJs season 2, because we're going to be posting all these interviews. Spotify, we've already got the outlets to go on to now. It's just getting them all up there. So these interviews aren't just going to be on Instagram. So we'll be able to get them audio. But yeah, we've had a lot of legendary DJs, and I love having the DJs because who better to tell an artist how to get famous than the DJ that broke them and showed the steps? Like, I mean, DJ Highlight was, when he came on, he laid the blueprint for Detroit. So if you're trying to lay a blueprint,
DJ Limelight, yes, he's on tour right now. He's Babyface Ray and Gucci Mane's DJ.
Yeah.
So Limelights has been amazing. And I got connected with him through Sam Basquiat. And so, but his resume is like, what? So, it's that's another thing too. Like I have a soft spot, and you do too, for DJs and producers. So it's not that I don't want to do an artist every week, but it's like sprinkling the artists in for me is kind of like the way to go. Like
got to make it special when they're there.
Yeah, and I've been a fan of like Sorry the Kid for years, just as an artist. Yeah. But like when he started his podcast, Sorry Not Sorry, with Lord Owen, I wanted to get them on together. That was like one of the only duels we did. And
that was a hard one for me because I'm a big fan of his music. So I had to, and I know Owen's a dope artist as well. So to highlight their podcast, but then still give them their artistry, I think they enjoyed it. I've seen them share a couple of the clips we put out for them. So, and yeah, they doing some amazing stuff with the podcast they had. So we're becoming a spot for podcasters. We've had Esso before Esso was even doing interviews. We had Ray before he was doing interviews. We had Wendy. So we're getting a lot of the podcasters. I'm trying to get a couple more from, these major outlets too. We've got the words in. So there's no telling who God's going to send this year. Like you said, a lot of times you get the call and like, yeah, I'd love to be there. So I know there's more on the way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that, we are in our own right. We are our own lane.
Yep.
Because of the way that you structure the interviews, the way that you do your research, the way that you line everything up, and the way that you just understand how this goes now, you found this pocket that can't nobody take away from you. Like, and for me, it is a major outlet. The numbers on Hype don't lie. What you guys in the history have done, both still being rated in the tops of what you guys do, so many years into this. I mean, it's undeniable. So, I mean, it's crazy too with the Hype because everything that Jay has built and Jerry and like they have their Google Analytics. Like I put up a post.
They're gurus. Yeah.
It's like one step away from like Rolling Stone.
Facts.
So I don't care what anybody says. Like I see what happens.
Yeah.
And I see the numbers and I see it. So I'm extremely grateful. And like, again, I'm super excited for the year coming up and to throw the curveballs in. I think having, conversations and, getting people off the bucket list. And I think for me too, there's a couple athletes I'm really close with.
Okay. Yeah.
Actors. So I think we're going to see more athletes, more actors, things like that throughout the year. And you never know with us.
Well, I was going to definitely highlight, shout out to KD, another person we had on the show that's a legend in his own right. And he reached out and said, hey, you want to get Waco? And Waco's on tour with ICP. So you don't know who's coming next because all these people we said we've had interviews with, they all have friends. They all have artists. They all have. So
that's how we got Sorry the Kid. That's how we got Sorry the Kid and Lord Owen was Diana Schweinbach.
Yeah.
And she had been on the show and I reached out to her. And so, but no, and this is like the smallest world ever. I had never heard of Wacko the Kid.
Yeah.
Never knew who he was. When I got familiar with him, putting together the dossier, I was like, oh, this is so dope. Like, wow. Yeah. Tell me why when Sam just did his pop-up shop at Token Miami during Rolling Loud weekend, the video recap that Kev did.
Okay.
And Wacko was there at the pop-up.
Dope.
And I recognized him because you had done the interview with him.
Yeah.
So I was like, what a small world. And so I called Sam like, yo, is that Wacko the Kid? Like, he's like, yeah. And I was like, yo, we just interviewed him. Like, Matt just interviewed him. So
that's what I'm saying. It's kind of becoming like if you're moving in the entertainment industry, you're running into people and now you know who they are. Like, a lot of these people are private that we're showcasing. So you can be at a conference and know DJ Nasty standing right there in the corner because you saw him here. So like I said, I'm extremely excited for season 3. We got the hype in the streets as well. Shout out to T-Rex, and Gracie Grace. So we've got 2 shows we're going to have now. So I know you've got a lot of dope artists. You got a lot of stuff we're going to highlight all, coming up for you. So I know you don't like to be a focal point, Sim, but I do want to just thank you, really, because I couldn't do this without you. So I have to highlight that sometimes to give you your flowers and just make people know that it wasn't me, that it's a whole team of us that are putting this together now.
Well, I appreciate it. And thank you. And I work hard. I'm going to take my flowers. That's one thing in 2025. I'm accepting my flowers and being in the moment. But also our biggest interview to date is the one interview that got deleted. Who was it? Clinton. So, but you did that all on your own.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I want. And same thing with Mano. Like, I had nothing that's what I really want people, like, our absolute biggest interview, unfortunately, that night. And it was weird because I was on, and that was last year, but
Instagram crashed.
Yeah, Instagram crashed.
We crashed Instagram. What are you talking about?
Right. And you had Corey on, and I was like, fuck. And so, but so that though was all you. Yeah. And so again, they can see me as the guest coordinator or whatever, but like, again, our biggest person to date is him when it comes to just Grammy. When you just look at his accolades and you match it up to anybody else's, his is really like the craziest. Yeah. And again, I think bringing people out the woodwork, like when we brought Rick out, or with Rocket, Rocket does so much. Yeah. And it's everything that he's got going on. And for me, that was a full circle moment too. That's family. So, for him to trust us and for him to get on and make time for that. And he don't do that for nobody.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's where I see eventually Rocket will send all his clients through. We'll become a stop along the press run. Like, when it gets to that phase, we know we're really doing something.
Oh, yeah, we're already locked in. Rocket's already talked to me about it. Like, oh, yeah, we're locked in. So I'm waiting with, I want to make sure that we get, Isaac Keys on as soon as Power Force drops. The last season's coming this year, coming 2025. So it'll be bittersweet, for Power Force. And, I know Eric Abriva-Kofe Abriva has to do Supercell 2 next year. That season 2 is greenlit. So it's all that when it comes to, especially with the actors, though, it's kind of like that timing. And
you got to wait till they're ready.
Yeah. We've got his, he supports us more than I can even ever say thank you to him for. And so, but yeah, no. And I'm just, and let us know, like, if you want to see somebody, if you want to recommend somebody, like, I check all my DMs, but we have a Gmail too. It's SBR Talk Series @gmail.com. Like, you can email us or send us to a publicist or send us to a manager. And I don't care if you have 1,000 followers. Yeah. If you're working hard and your grind is absolutely out this world, like, we want to have you on the show.
I've learned a lot of times the ones that have 1,000 followers are the ones that are like and share and comment and promote that they were actually a part of what we do. So I don't care how many followers you got. Plus, everybody has a dope story to tell.
But some of the biggest icons that we know that we've had on have like 4,000 followers. Yep. 200 followers. You're like, and we know them, and we're like, I look at the numbers like, so when people talk about numbers, and I'm like, dude, listen, no, you don't understand. Yeah. Like, some of the most important people have like 1,300 followers. So don't tell me that means that they're not who they are. So, but yeah, no, that's what I'm excited about. So I'm just, and I appreciate you. Yeah. You have a family and you take the time out and do this late night and, get the StreamYard together and do the editing. I don't touch the editing. I don't do none of that stuff. Yeah. I just help write the captions and,
amazing.
You take the time out of your life to do this. And I appreciate the opportunity and to be able to do another season with you.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. We're going to drop this at 11. Do you have a caption for this, or are we just going to put, the recap?
You can put whatever you want. Okay. I'll send you something over real quick in the DM right now. It's easier through the DM, right?
Yep. That'd be perfect.
Yeah, I'll send it through your DM and we'll go from there. And also, I think you're going to see more exclusive content because we've got our own logo. Because I'm going to be outside 2025.
Yeah, you're getting out there.
Yeah, I've been inside for 3 years.
Okay, what's getting you out now?
I think I think I'm ready to be back outside just to work.
Yep,
and I did it for 10 years straight with nonstop. I took a break. I came back. I did it again for nonstop.
Yep.
And it's just like now the clients that I work for are just so organized and really
they got it. Make it simple.
Yeah. It makes it a whole lot simpler.
Yep.
So, and the level that we're working at.
Yeah.
But yeah, and shout out to, Skilla's team. I'll see them in a couple weeks, and Rocket. I'll talk to Rocket, and I'll definitely talk to them. And shout out, his whole team is working. Absolutely insane.
They've passed him. They've pretty much are starting. I've seen it now. They're passing him the baton. Like there's a real movement coming from Detroit, but like I said, with them being on bag fuel and all the other stuff he got going on, like they're passing him the baton right now.
Yeah, he was talking about acting. 50 got him into acting, so I'm super excited for that. And that whole team deserves everything positive. I think one of my goals too is that Mexican OT. I've been a huge fan. And one of his managers, Fee is incredible. And so, and he's, that dude, and so, him, a headliner from Miami who runs Live. So yeah, I got a couple people on my list, my bucket list, that I'm like, okay, maybe it's time to start, cause I hate, no. Yeah. I don't like to hear no. So, but if you meet me, you have to say yes. But I know all of those people I'm going to end up seeing in the next 4 months. So I know I'm going to get a yes. So I just got to be patient. So,
well, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. And by the time you see them, they'll be like, oh yeah, I know that show. Let's do this. So that's my goal, is to make sure when you get to them and get to have those conversations, they're like, oh yeah, let's do that. I know them. So we working.
Right. And like I said, it doesn't matter the numbers. It doesn't matter where you're from. We've also organized it too, where we were prepared we try to do some UK interviews. Yep. We had done one last year with Ole, who was from the creator of the Sample Lounge.
Yeah, the producing stuff.
He did any other interview other than his own. We had him on. Yeah. And so we've coordinated schedules to make sure that we could do some UK or Australia. You and I are very close with that. So send us some info, see who do you guys want to see? That's the big thing too. Who does Matt need to talk to?
That'll be the caption. Who's next?
Right. There's the caption right there. Who's next who do you want to see in 2025?
Well, like I said, Sin, I really appreciate it. I'll go ahead and get this uploaded. So at 11 o'clock, we'll make the recap, and then we'll start dropping every week again. So thank you very much. And I hope you have a great new year.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Peace.
Bye.